don't want to go anywhere. I second guess everything that I do. It's affecting my life in a major way, all because of lies, for me doing my job.
We just followed the law and we followed the Constitution. And at the end of the day, President Trump came up short.
Welcome back to America Decides. That was just some of the dramatic testimony during the House Select Committee's investigation into January 6th last year. And nearly a year later, President Trump will be scheduled to stand trial March 4th for his federal election interference case. CBS News election law expert and political contributor David Becker joins us now. David's executive director and founder of the nonpartisan nonprofit Center for Election Innovation and Research. David, so today we get a trial date of March 4th, which, as we've mentioned, is the day before Super Tuesday, but it also puts a trial and potential defenses that the 2020 election was rigged right in the middle of electing primary nominees, in the middle of some voting in some states. What's the risk of having these baseless election claims prominent again as people go back to vote?
Well, I think there's both a risk and an opportunity here. As Judge Chutkan pointed out to both counsel, we often portray this as there are two parties, and the two parties are adversaries in this. But she pointed out there's a very important third party in this, and that's the public, the American citizens. And they have an interest in a full trial that's held fairly closely to the indictment as well. And in particular, in this instance, this is going to be right in the middle of the primary process, as you pointed out. And so this is an opportunity for the American people to also learn about any claims that the defendant might make that either didn't know that he was wrong about the election being stolen, or that the election was actually stolen. We sit here well over 1,000 days since that election, and despite repeated promises, that evidence that supposedly exists that the election was stolen has never been presented to any court or law enforcement agency. It has never materialized in any way. And this is an opportunity for the defendant to put those before a court and have those pieces of so-called evidence scrutinized. We recall a couple of weeks ago where they were supposed to release a supposedly irrefutable report. That never materialized. So this is an opportunity for him to make his case, not just to the court, but to the American people in the middle of a primary process, that he was right all along. And of course, and also an opportunity for the prosecution to present that there is no such evidence and he was wrong all along and guilty of those charges.
But here we are, nearly 4 years later, and there's still baseless claims coming from Trump in advance of these trials and these criminal hearings. You talk to secretaries of state and election administrators. Are they still getting that? Are they still hearing from their constituents that they believe they were robbed in 2020? Are they still skeptical about what happens next year?
They're not only still hearing that over 1,000 days after the election, in some ways that's ramped up recently as some extremists have doubled down on the rhetoric, on the lies. I've still seen lies just this past weekend spread that there were more voters in some states than there were people. That's not only false, it's demonstrably false, and it's very easy to disprove. There was no state where they even came close to having 100% turnout or 90% turnout of eligible voters, even though we had very high turnout of about 2/3 of eligible voters nationally. So this disinformation ecosystem still exists, and it's still putting stress on election officials from the Secretary of State level all the way down to poll workers. We should remember that one of the key claims in the Georgia indictments are the false claims being made about a volunteer poll worker, Ruby Freeman, that ended up upending her life. And she is still suffering the effects of that to this day. I can tell you from talking to election officials all over the country, that persists, and if anything, is ramping up.
In addition to the threats, which are, by your accounts and by so many accounts, increasing, what other wrenches do these election deniers throw into the system for election administrators? What other challenges are they facing trying to administer these elections during an increasing amount of election denialism?
Well, you see, for instance, there are claims made about election security that are false, and they lead to bad policy choices that make it harder for election officials to run secure elections. So a great example of this is there are efforts in several places around the country where election deniers have convinced government officials in certain counties that the only way to actually determine the outcome of an election is through hand counting of ballots. And the problem with that is hand counting is actually well documented and proven to be less accurate, more costly, and much slower than machine counting. And machine counting also has to be verified through audits and recounts, and it is in all of the states. But those efforts to impose hand counting, you can imagine what that does to election offices, where they have to recruit more people, they have to spend more money, and then there's going to be a longer period of time where the loser of the election could incite anger and possibly violence. These things are very much a concern as we head into 2024.
That's been a component of this Fulton County case, David, that's been distinctive from the start, that among the co-defendants are people accused of pressuring or seeking to pressure these local poll workers in Fulton County. Some of the defendants are from Chicago, accused of going to Fulton County to pressure election workers. How rare a case is this? Is there a lot of muscle memory for prosecuting people for trying to pressure election poll workers, or is this in itself unprecedented?
It is unprecedented. I get that question sometimes, and like, when was the last time this happened? And I have to say, it's never happened. Could you imagine a losing candidate finding these volunteer poll workers, the best of us, the citizens who volunteer hours and hours of their day, not just on election day, but often for training weeks in advance and through early voting, who don't get paid very much if they get paid at all, and traveling across state lines to threaten and harass them? And that's what happened in Georgia in 2020, and even in some other places as well. And we saw online and even physical harassment of election officials in Arizona and Michigan and Wisconsin and many other places. This has never happened before. The biggest problem for election officials in our country prior to 2020 was anonymity, that most people didn't understand what they did or who they were, and they had a hard time explaining it to their friends and families, the hard work of election administration on a day-to-day basis. And now they're being targeted not because they did a bad job in 2020, but because they did a remarkable job in 2020, somehow managing the highest turnout that the United States has ever seen in the middle of a global pandemic, and they're still suffering the effects of that harassment to this day.
One thing I'll note, being in the courthouse today, the prosecutors were arguing for that prompt trial here in Washington, D.C. They said in so many words that conspiracy theories about the election persist, and that is a reason why they want to move swiftly to trial to avoid the jury pool being tainted and those baseless claims from metastasizing any further. Your research, your conversations indicate that those baseless claims are nevertheless metastasizing even as we get further away from 2020.
Well, I think she's right, though. She's really talking about a target audience here, which is the jury pool in D.C., and she's appropriately concerned about that pool being tainted to some degree in either direction, because this kind of disinformation doesn't always manifest itself with effects that you would always expect. It also has a lot of pushback at times. And so she's quite right to try to minimize that as much as she can. Obviously, she's going to be keeping a close eye on what the defendant says publicly, and any overt attempts to influence the jury pool or also threaten anyone involved in the proceedings. And it's pretty clear that the defendant's counsel is going to have a hard time keeping him in line on some of those things. And we're going to have to watch this very closely as it proceeds.
As we get real close to a trial date, less than 7 months away. David Becker, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Scott.